What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Appreciate you guys tuning in for another video. So we've made it home from Icast. You know, we drove pretty much all day yesterday. We got home late last night. Here we are, it's Saturday morning, and I wanted to bring you guys a real-time Icast recap. So we're literally filming this and uploading it straight to YouTube. So that by the time you guys watch this, you know, it's going to be the exact same day. You know, this is this Saturday, the day after the Icast show. And I wanted to bring you guys kind of a recap, kind of go through some things. You know, the show gets so crazy. There's so many people. It's so loud in there. So it's really hard to bring good quality content from the actual show. So I'm going to kind of bring you my point of view of things throughout the show, a few highlights. And then I even snuck a few baits home to show you guys, some that already had shipped here, some that I actually just took off the shelf of the display that maybe I get in trouble for that, I'm not sure. But we got some baits. I needed a few baits for these next few tournaments we're heading on, so I'm excited to show you guys what all went down. So if you guys are ready, let's jump in and let's talk about Icast. So Icast 2024, I'm not gonna lie, as far as brand new, groundbreaking products, really cool things, it was a little lackluster. You know, there was a lot of cool baits, a lot of minnow style baits. You know, 2024 seems to be the year of the jig head minnow. So there was a lot of minnow style baits, a lot of jig heads to match with those minnows. You know, a lot of stuff more related or designed for forward-facing sonar, whether it be hard baits, plastics. That generally seemed to be the theme of the show from my point of view. You know, I didn't get a whole lot of time to just kind of walk around and just look at everything, but I had a pretty good gauge on what was going on around the show. You know, I'd pretty much touched and felt all the new baits that were coming out and checked those out. And, you know, a few highlights, obviously outside of the partners that I work with. You know, Z-Man came out with a new tungsten chatterbait, the Evo chatterbait. That's pretty interesting. I'm pretty excited about that guy. And they also had a little minnow for kind of like a pre-rigged line through minnow style bait that I'm interested in checking out. You know, I went and held it a little bit, and I was kind of on the fence about it, but I'm going to buy a couple packs and try them out on the lake and see what they do. You know, the highlights for us obviously were, you know, we had a couple products launch from Epic Baits with my name on it, like this jig right here. So this is a tungsten jig. It's got that more egg style head, but then it has a flat spot on the head. And I'm not sure, I really don't know of any other tungsten jigs out there with a flat spot like that. So it's kind of unique like that. And what that flat spot does, one, it helps it skip, but two, when it lands on the bottom, it helps it stand up perfectly every time. So that's something I wanted in a jig. You know, obviously tungsten's a little bit smaller, so it's gonna be more compact. We got a good V-lock hook in there. I really like those V-lock style hooks, like the Pro V Bend from Trocar. It keeps those fish pegged once you hook them. And it's just an overall really nice jig, and I'm really excited with how they turned out. So that was pretty cool. We got to launch those to the world. If you've seen my update from day one of Icast, we kind of dove into that a little bit more about the jig, but just wanted to touch on him again. There's another cool jig from Epic. It's really a deep water swim jig. So this is more of like your open water timber brush style swim jig. It's a lot heavier. It's got, I don't know, I think it's a half, 3/4, 5/8, maybe a 1 ounce even. Just big, heavy swim jig to get down in those depths and fishing around timber. So that's another cool little jig, you know, outside of the minnow style baits. You know, these were two really cool things that I saw. Now, Yamamoto and Bill Lewis dropped a ton of new products. I kind of touched on them a little bit with you guys, but I wanted to go into a little more detail, and there was actually a few that I kind of skipped over and missed just because, like I said, the show was so crazy. There was a lot going on, especially in their booth, so you know, there's a few things I wanted to touch on. So obviously, well, not obviously, hopefully you guys have heard about the shad-shaped swimmer. That's a bait I'm super excited about. So you guys know I love the shad-shaped worm. We've taken the same body style and added a little paddle tail to the back. So it helps it kick. And you know, this bait is really, really cool. There is a ton of time and development into this as far as tail design, the tail width right here, and the plastic formula. We went back and forth with a ton of different designs. And really, you know, the thing that I was looking for in this swim bait, so, you know, Jack is kind of the product developer there, and him and I went back and forth a lot in what I would like in a swim bait. And the things I want, definitely I want this bait to roll side to side like that. And that's kind of what this profile does with the flat sides of, you know, the shad-shaped worm, or now the shad-shaped swimmer. And, you know, the tail design kind of affects that roll, because if you have a big paddle tail on the back, it really just overpowers it and just lets that tail kick. So you need a little bit more subtle tail design that allows that bait to roll side to side like that. And that's really key. It looks very natural in the water. But another thing that we kind of hit on with the plastic formula and getting it the right density and durability is, one, obviously it's going to last longer, help you catch more fish, but it helps the head kind of nod side to side. So it kind of swims with the tail. So that head, I mean, it's very subtle, but if you look at this bait while you're swimming it, his head swims left to right as that tail kicks. I mean, it's not going to be that drastic as I'm doing, but that's kind of the motion that he swims. And it is absolutely phenomenal. So he's rolling side to side and his head is turning. And it's really hard to explain without seeing it, but you can take this bait, rig it up on just, you know, an A3/16 ball head, put it on a drop shot, something like that, and just kind of swim it through the water, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about with that action. And that is exactly what I wanted in a little swimmer, and man, I am excited about that. So these are not available yet. I believe they'll be available in October. They just had a few samples made for the show, and we may or may not have sniped a few for the St. Lawrence River, because those are going to be a big player for the next Bass Pro Tour event. So I'm excited to put those to use up there. So other than the shad-shaped swimmer, you know, there was a lot that went down. You know, obviously you've seen our pre-Icast release with the 4-inch Fat Cinco. So that was another new bait that was released, the 4-inch Fat Cinco. That was just you know, an addition to the lineup. You know, not necessarily a new bait or anything, but it was a well-needed addition. Another new bait. So this was something brand new from Japan. Actually, I think they had this profile in Japan, and that is the little covert crawl, 2.5 inches. So it's a little tiny crawl style bait. You know, it's made of the same neutrally buoyant plastic. So these little tails stand straight up on a Ned rig or on the back of a little finesse jig. So this is, again, something that I am taking to the St. Lawrence River to put on a Ned rig, kind of drag him around some of those rocky, sandy areas, and he's going to catch a few fish right there. So really cool little bait. You know, I'm going to use this on like I said, on a Ned rig, on the back of a little tiny finesse jig, things like that. So it's a nice, really small, compact trailer for your really small finesse jig. So the covert crawl was another one that kind of got overlooked. You know, this was really the first that I've mentioned it to you guys. So it was something with, like I said, with the craziness of the show and all the other products going on, the covert crawl got a little overlooked as far as me personally. So I wanted to show you guys that. Another cool thing. So you guys know I love throwing the Scope Shad. I throw this little minnow style bait everywhere and catch fish on it. So two new things to the Scope Shad. One is some new colors. So this is called the Stealth series of colors. So these are all clear plastic with just glitter in them. So there's a few different options. This one, what is this one called? Stealth Purple Shimmer. You know, you guys know I love purple. And that right there is a beautiful color. We got to see more of a blue one. I think that one's called Ice Out. No, that one's Blue Glimmer. That one's Ice Out. That one's Ice Out. That one's Blue Glimmer. That one is Chartreuse and Purple. But you can see they're all clear based. So there's a few, you know, a whole line of stealth colors available in, you know, the Scope Shad. I believe they'll be in the Swimmer and also the shad-shaped worm, I believe. So cool new addition to the color family of the Scope Shad. And now while we're on the Scope Shad, they've taken the same bait. You know, this is a 3-inch bait, and they've just added 2 new sizes. So we grew it to a 3.5 inch. So it's the exact same profile. Everything, you know, bait design wise is the same. They just scaled it out and grew it a little bit. So there you can see the 3-inch and the 3.5 inch. So that's another new size. It'll be available in all the same colors. And then just grew it a little bit more into a 4-inch version. So now you got different size options with your Scope Shad to fit perfectly the size of the bait fish that the bass are feeding on, whatever your lake may have. Now you got different size options. You know, there's definitely situations where I wish I had a bigger Scope Shad last year or this year, you know, whenever, you know, you're fishing for those big giant fish, say like Toledo Bend or something. You know, having a little bit bigger bait to target those bigger fish can be key sometimes. So I'm excited about the new sizes, and hopefully we can get a few in some Becker's grape juice here soon. So you're gonna have to stay tuned for that and see. But so that is the additions to the Yamamoto lineup. You know, Bill Lewis had dropped a couple baits. They dropped the Zigzag. So if you guys are familiar, it is a, what's the name of that bait? Oh, it's basically a topwater bait that goes in front of your spook. Front runner, that's what they're called. Yeah, it's the old school front runner. We got a Bill Lewis Zigzag. So obviously it's highly developed, beautiful colors. It floats real high. It's got a unique shape. It's kind of a triangle shape. I actually don't have any here right now, but I'll be getting some of those soon here for topwater season this fall. So that'll be pretty cool. And then, you know, probably the star of the show for Bill Lewis was this guy right here, the Depth Charge. So this is basically a lipless jerkbait, and it's, you know, more of a minnow style bait. And this is for your forward-facing sonar stuff. But that's really not its only use. You know, as soon as I seen this bait, the idea started running through my head. You know, this is going to be a excellent bait for, say, like schooling fish. You know, fish that are busting on the surface, and you don't want to throw a big topwater at them. You know, you got this nice little bait. If you tie him on a spinning rod, I bet you could outcast almost any topwater bait that you have on a bait caster. So you're gonna be able to cast this really far and accurately and get it to where those fish are, and, you know, twitch it real quick. It's gonna dart and dance around the surface. And you know, I bet this is gonna be an excellent schooling fish bait on top of what it was actually designed for, as more as that sinking style jerk bait where you can cast it, sink it down to a individual fish or a piece of structure, and kind of play keep away and twitch it away from him really fast. So this is a cool bait. Now I don't know if you'll be able to see inside this bait, but it's got a weight transfer system that is essentially on a spring. So whenever you wind up to cast this, it's gonna spring to the front, or I guess it would be the back of the bait, the front that's going towards your cast. And it really helps you get that casting distance. But then once it lands, it springs back into place, so you get that perfect action every time, and it doesn't stick in the back of the bait. So that's a really cool feature of it. It really helps you with that casting distance and getting the correct action every single time. Now, 3 sizes available. So this one is the It's 3/8 of an ounce. Is there a model number? 2.95 inch. I feel like there's a model number here. I'm missing something, but so there's 3 sizes. There's a 3/8, a half, and a 5/8. So it just, you know, gives you a couple options as far as size, profile, weight. Now this bait, I feel like this one, you're gonna wanna throw him on a bait caster. This one is iffy, probably a bait, you could get away with a bait caster on him, but this little guy, I'm really thinking is gonna be a spinning rod bait. And you know, I love my spinning rod bait, so that's something I'm excited about. So there you can see a comparison of the 3 sizes. And this is something I'm gonna spend a lot of time with here as the year progresses, and really excited about the new depth charge from Bill Lewis. So I think they hit a home run with that bait. All right, what else we got new? Anything? What was your favorite thing you saw, Brittany?
Favorite thing I saw?
Yeah.
I mean, I really like that new glitter color that they have. The I think it's this one here. Yeah, this one. I don't know if you guys can see that. It is like this, and then I really like.
We got to give a shout out to the Big Bite. The new Nico Rama worm officially launched at Big Bite. So it's been cool, you know, rooming with Drew this year. I've seen this really come up, start from the ground up. I've seen the actual hard copy, essentially a 3D print of this worm, essentially what they were going to create the mold out of. Then I've seen the samples as they've come in. So it's been really cool to see the progress of that and see the final product here. You know, that's a pretty cool Nico worm. So that's definitely something to check out from Big Bite. Oh, that reminds me, speaking of Big Bite, they came out, I guess this is probably the most interesting bait that I've laid my hands on at Icast. This is essentially a brand new style, shape of bait. I've never seen anything like this. Let's see, how do I even get into this package?
I think you just didn't rip it well enough.
Yeah, and I don't have any fingernails because
You have your knife with you?
because we drove yesterday, so I bit all my fingernails off.
Get the knife. I don't know.
I do not have, my knife's over there. Let me grab that. Well, I got a knife and I got some scissors. One of them will work for sure. See, I feel like that should be open now. Maybe they made it.
Lower.
They made it so you can't open the display packages. They got me. No, I'm just kidding.
Dude, cut a little lower.
You can't cut below the zipper. It will not work that way. All right, well, we're just going in. I want to show you guys this bait. Like I said, this is a shape of bait. I've never seen anything like this before. Look at that thing right there. This is called the Big Bite Best Skipper Ever. The best skipper. It's literally shaped like a rock. I mean, it is designed to skip like a rock. Like, I feel like I could put him in my hand and just skip him across the lake. So that's like probably the most unique bait that I've seen and put in my hands here. Of course, I had to bring a pack home to try him out, but that is very interesting. So what do you guys think of the best skipper ever? What do you think about him? You think he's going to catch some fish? I mean, I could see him definitely catching some fish. You know, around some boat docks or something like that. It's kind of got a unique profile. I'm curious to see the action on him. You know, he's fairly heavy. And I guess this is the front, this is the back. So you skip him in there, and then he's going to kind of sink backwards, kind of away from you, and kind of skip, glide further into places. So I don't know. That's a very unique bait, but it is it's bulky. I mean, he's thick, he's chunky, and it's interesting for sure. So what do you guys think? What was the coolest thing you guys seen from Icast? Did you follow along? Did you learn anything? Are you excited about any baits? Make sure you drop it all in the comments down below. Appreciate you guys tuning in as always, and we'll see you guys next time.